All right, so this is going to be a cutting board, and what I've done is I've glued up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 2x2 blocks of rock maple and American black cherry, and about 25 inches long, and it measures about 18 inches wide right now. What I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to sand off all of these glue drippings, squeeze outs, and then on both sides, and then we'll be back. All right, well, see you in a minute. All right, I've got both sides sanded down, kind of rough. Don't want to take off too much because we don't change the dimension of the wood too far. But what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to cut off this edge right here, make it nice and square, and then approximately every 2 inches, I'm going to cut a strip off, because we're going to turn these up so that the ends of the boards are face up on a cutting board, because that's the strongest end. Or the end grain is also a little stronger than the face grain. Face grains are easy to mark. They mar up fairly easy, even on hardwood. So the end grain is what we're looking for. All right, so I'm gonna start cutting this up, and I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, so I've got this jig set up. This is a sled I built a couple years ago, and I've got almost exactly the thickness of the board here that I'm going to be cutting through. And so should be able to sit these all up on end, glue them together, and it should look like strips of maple and black cherry. So we'll give it a shot. We'll see how this guy works. If it doesn't work, then back to square one. But I think it'll work. So let's rock and roll. All right. All right, success. So we're going to take those and turn them upright all the way down, and it should come back out like this, all the way back down. But then we're going to go the other direction for their length and our width. So you'll see how that works out. So let me cut the rest of these, and then we'll get to the glue up. All right, see you in a few. All right, all ends are been cut and put up, so we have end grain all the way across. Now, before we cut this, all the strips, I maintained one side where I had a lot of, I put a lot of pencil marking, so I know which side is which. Because sometimes, as you start moving these blocks around and shifting them, you don't know their position and or their sides. So yeah, so now I'm going to mark all of these with a pencil so that I know what position they play. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these edges here. I'm going to plane those just a little bit, because if you can see, there's a lot of gaps here. So what I'll do is I'll make one of these edges really good all the way down, and then I will put these blocks in a thickness planer and make sure all four sides are exactly the same thickness. That way we have a consistency to the box. All right, so off to the planer I go. Oh, yeah, so this is what's left over. Not a lot, but I wanted to see just how after less than 24 hours, probably spent about 12 hours approximately, that the glue was put on. So I was wanting to do it like a test, a break test, see where this thing would break if I... So the glue, places where I got the glue the best, it broke the wood and not the actual glue. The glue did not give away. Same thing on this end here, when that broke. It broke the wood, not the glue. So the glue is stronger, the glue joint is stronger than the wood itself. I think that's pretty good. All right, let me go plane some of these guys up, get them all the same size, and we'll meet back here for a little glue up. And after I get it glued up next week, I plan on doing the Lichtenberg burn on the block. The customer wants a burn in of the from the Lichtenberg machine that I built. It'll burn a nice pattern in here. He hasn't told me he desires any kind of epoxy fill in it. So if I do an epoxy, it'll probably be black epoxy, but it'll look really neat. And we'll video the Lichtenberg process. It's a tricky process, but it's fun. All right, let me go to the planer and I'll be back here. All right, welcome back. So I've got two sides good. I still got to do the other two ends. And so you can see we started off fairly thick, but we're getting a little bit less material, so it gets a little bit thinner. So it's great to start with 2 inches whenever possible, and then plane it down so we get those really tight joints. Okay, so 2 different boards here, 2 different possibilities, right? So I kind of like the checkerboard. I don't know what you like. If we split these guys off, you can see the 2 different styles. This would be a little bit smaller board, but checker. This would be a little bit bigger board, but has the lines rather than the checker. Let me know what you think, but I think I like the checker. And what I'll do is I'll put a border around it, probably black walnut, a nice decorative edge, and put that juice groove right out at the edge of that, just to make sure that I leave as much of the product here as possible with the checkers. All right, well, I'm going to square up the other 2 sides, and then we'll get to gluing these things up. 2 different boards. It'll be interesting, won't it? I think it will. We'll put the juice to it next week, burn in some decorative tree looking like things, and then we'll go from there. All right, see you in a little bit.